All right, it's time for our second activity with Autodesk Sketchbook. So I'm going to go right to work, and I'll show you what I want you to work on today. I'm not going to go through the installation process because if you did yesterday's assignment, you've already installed it. If you've already installed it, you don't need to install it again. So I'm just going to swipe up on my taskbar here, and I'll go find Autodesk Sketchbook. We'll see what happens here. Sometimes when you start up Sketchbook, it will pull up whatever previous document you had been working on. And if it does that to you, if you have a document that automatically just shows up here, you can go to the menu and do a new sketch and pick a size here. You could do this 1366 by 768, or you could go to others and like go to mobile. And I use this one a lot, 1280 by 720. And it might ask you, if you do that, it might ask you, do you want to discard or keep or save the document? If it's, do whatever you need to do. If it's nothing that you need to save, then just discard it and move on. All right, I'm going to do a little pinch here and size it down just a smidge. All right, looking good. All right, so what we got to do here first is we're going to work with filling things with gradients today, but it's going to be a perspective drawing. So I'm going to go click the perspective grid tool. And I want 1 point perspective. It's over here on the left, the 1 point mode. That's good. But I don't want that infinite grid. I'm going to click here on this thing that looks like the starburst and make it a constrained grid. And you can use these little green dots and the blue dot to kind of adjust this a little bit. Like I might stretch my grid out kind of like that. And the blue dot in the middle can be used to either raise or lower the horizon line on the thing. All right. So that looks pretty good. Now, the other thing I'm going to do on mine, and we are on constrained, right? Yes, I want constrained grid. Good. Okay. I'm going to go to this one that looks like a waffle, and I'm going to increase the density of the grid a little bit because I want some extra guidelines in there that are going to help me out a little bit with what I'm going to do. And you could, those guidelines, you can adjust their opacity some. You can fade them out or make them darker or whatever you want to do there. It's kind of up to you. All right. Now, the first thing we're going to do is I just want to draw what's going to look like a room. There's going to be a wall in front of us, straight in front of us, and then walls coming up the side. There's going to be a ceiling and a floor, and I'll show you what that's going to look like. I'm going to use the technical pen. I've got my size set on 3.0, and I'm going to use black, and I'm pretty happy with that. All right, the first thing I am going to do is draw the wall that I would be looking at. It's the far wall. Now, I'm going to do a little pinch and zoom in some so I can use these guides to really help me out. I'm going to draw like this using my stylus, and I'm going to draw across here. Cool. And I'm going to draw right down that line right there. And I will come right across like that. All right, so that's going to be like the wall that I'm looking at. I'm facing a wall. And if you don't get your corners exactly right, you can take the eraser and get in there and clean up the little details if you want to, but I'm not going to be too worried about that. All right, so that's the far wall. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a side wall in here. And what I'll do is I'm going to come back about like that. All right about to there. And you can make it, the size is kind of up to you. But I'm going to draw a vertical line like that. And then I'll use this guide to draw in like that. Cool. All right. Use this guide up here. You could zoom in if you wanted to, but this is working. So that's going to be like a side wall. We're pretend that we're standing in a room. We're looking into the room. That's a side wall. I can see the wall that's on the other side of the room, on the other end of the room. Now, what I'm going to do here, let me collapse that. I'm going to work on the ceiling next. I'm going to come about here, come over to this slanted guide right here. That's the one I want to use. And then I'll take that guide right in there. And again, I didn't get the corner like really super perfect. If you want to zoom in on stuff like that and go get one of the eraser tools, you've got eraser brushes here. And I could just come along here and kind of brush with that eraser a little bit and improve it some. I'm not sure I still made it perfect at all, but it's a little better. All right, so let's keep going. Now I'm going to work from that corner. I got to go back to my technical pen, and I'm going to go down like that, down to this guide here. Cool. And like that. Cool. And then our final actual drawing line is just going to run across like this. And now again, I got little gaps down here. So I'm going to zoom in and just kind of bring those together. It's not going to be perfect. That'll be okay right there. So pretend it's like a room, right? And you know how I'm zooming in and zooming out, right? I'm using my fingers to pinch, either pinch them together or spread them apart, and it will zoom in, zoom out, and you can kind of rotate the image as well. So that is, we've got sidewalls, we've got floor, we've got ceiling, and we've got a wall that's away from us. It's the other end of the room. Now we get into what I want you to find out about today. Is this whole filling with gradients. So here's how this works. On the top toolbar, I'm going to click the bucket tool, and then you'll see, I don't have a mouse connected, so I don't have a mouse pointer, but you'll see 3 buttons over on the left of that little sub menu, that option menu that popped out here. You've got solid and linear gradient and radial gradient. I'll just start with linear here. I'll click on linear, and I'm just going to go ahead and click in an area, boom, like that. And it's probably, to begin with, just going to fill with a real standard white, gray, black gradient. But I'll show you your options here real quick. First of all, you can, these little dots that are on the dotted line there, there's kind of like a gradient bar running across there. And you can grab those dots and slide them. And the ones that are on the ends, on the left end or on the right end, are like anchors. So I could move those around and change the angle of the gradient if I wanted to. I could take the middle dot and slide it left or right to change the distribution of the gradient if I want to. But I also can do this, of course. I can click on a dot and then either use the double puck that's right here. I've got my double puck open, or there's also a color dot that's way over on the top right-hand side. So I could change it. That doesn't have to be gray. I could change it here. I'll change it to green and click off of that. And so my gradient is now changed to white, green, and black. And so I could select this white dot right here and say, well, I don't know, let's just make that kind of a gold color. I would never paint a wall that would make it look like this, but I'm just showing you how it works. All right, I'll select the black dot over here and say, well, let's make that, I don't know, let's go like a purple color. And there we go. It's very colorful, right? Now, if you want more colors, this is a 3-color gradient right now. You can click in an empty spot on the dotted line, and it will add little circle markers there. And so I could click on that and say, well, let's make that black. Boom. See that? And I could take this second marker from the left here, and I could say, well, what if we made that blue? Boom, there we go. So you can see you can have about as many of those little color markers as you wish. If you put in a color marker and you think, well, all right, I don't like it so much, you can click on that color marker and either drag up or down. Just get it off of the dotted line, pull it off of the dotted line, and then just release it, just let it go. And you've got that kind of thing. All right. Yay. All right, so that's a linear gradient, right? So let's what we're going to do is fill all the walls and the ceilings and the floor. And you could do all the same gradient if you want to, or you could mix them up. You could have a mixture of linear and radial. You could use all different colors. Whatever you want to do is okay. All right, I'll come over here and fill this. Now, see what it's done is it made the same gradient as what I had on the other, although it is kind of reversed. It's working with, that's not really reversed because the yellow is on the left and the purple is on the right. Now, if you wanted to, I could just reverse that myself. I could just switch the location of the purple and the yellow, and that makes it match more what it was like on the other side of the room over there. I don't know if that is important to you or not, but you could, right? All right, so you see how that works? Now, let's fill this top one up here. And this one, the gradient spreads all the way from left to right. But again, and I could come in here and change these colors, anything I wanted to do. But I could also, if I don't want it to like go all the way from left to right, I could just use the ones that are on the end and adjust those however you do the best you can. Get them adjusted in there however you feel like you wanted to. I'm trying to make them kind of fit a little bit. All right, cool. There we go. And then boom, I'll fill this one. And again, same kind of thing here. If I don't want it to run all the way from the left edge to the right edge, I could just bring this yellow dot in here and bring this purple dot back to like there. And I've got that kind of thing going on. Cool. Yay. And it doesn't, I mean, you certainly do not have to do it just like me. Now, the only other thing I want to do here is, I got to fill that other wall, but I'm going to make this a different color. I'm going to play around with some other colors here. A gradient always has to have at least two colors, right? I could pull the black off, and now I've got just the purple and the yellow. Or I could click in here and add some other color markers and do whatever I want to do with those, right? I could take red and white, back to red. Probably can use an eyedropper. Kind of messed up there. I could use an eyedropper and go get. Yeah, I can use. There's an eyedropper on the color picker, and I can go match a color if I want to. For example, if I want that same color of yellow on this other end, I could click the purple, click on the double puck, I'll click purple, I'll go click the eyedropper, I'll go click on the, that was my fault. I messed up on my click there. Dink, there we go. So I sampled the yellow to make the yellows match on either side. All right, now this is not necessarily a thing of beauty, but it works, right? It kind of looks like a room. It's got side walls, it's got a ceiling, it's got a floor, it's got a far wall down at the other end, and all of these things are filled with gradients. It's exactly what we're after here today. So now this needs to be saved, right? We're building our way towards something, a little bit bigger that we'll do. So I'm going to go to the menu button up here, and I'm going to hit Share. I'm going to save to device. It's saving, if I look top left, it's saving in the My Files area, which is fine with me. I'm going to click down here on the bottom left and take out, it's got this like ridiculous number in there. So I'll just call it Walls 2. I made one earlier, so I'll just call it Walls 2. Save that. And then if you want to exit Autodesk Sketchbook, just tap Escape. Might have to hit it a couple of times. But I tap Escape and I get this menu that pops up about exit, save and exit, all that kind of thing. So I'm just going to exit. And then that file right now resides on the My Files. If I go to Files here, did I hit that? Yeah, I did. If I'm looking at My Files on my Chromebook, then there it is right there. It's a PNG file, right? Remember, these are going to be saved as a PNG file. And that's what you turn in on Google Classroom. Now, I did mention the other day that you might just be able, can you just drag and drop that? Probably not. It's probably not that smart. Be nice if you could just drag and drop that right onto your Google Drive. Maybe you can. Copied to my drive. Look at that. I just dragged it and dropped it right onto my Google Drive, and then that maybe makes it a little bit easier to turn it in when it's time to turn it in. All right, that's your assignment number 2 with Autodesk Sketchbook. Go for it. Fist bump.